Tell me your true scary stories. My big brother used to have an imaginary brother, and he would always play with him. But sometimes he would say, "Stop, leave me alone," or "No, I don't want to go to my room to play." My mom would ask him, "What's going on?" And he would say, "He won't leave me alone." Of course, my mom had no idea what he was talking about and thought it was just him being a kid with an imaginary friend. Well, a day after my brother's birthday, he had these balloons. And keep in mind, my brother is just a little kid, and he's obviously not tall, so he couldn't reach the plates, knives, forks, etc. It was around 10, 11 p.m., and my mom heard the balloons pop. So she went outside, and my brother looked really scared. So my mom asked him, "What's happened? Did you pop the balloons?" And my brother said, freaking out, "No, it was him," pointing to his imaginary friend that my mom obviously couldn't see. My mom saw the knife next to the balloons and immediately knew that he was too short to reach any of those things. So she said, "Get out of my house," to my brother's imaginary friend. Since my mom couldn't see him, she asked my brother if he left already, and he said he had left and thanked my mom. Later, about 10 to 15 minutes later, my cousins came over. And my cousin said that he saw a woman in all white with her hair in front of her face in the front door. My brother said that that was his mom, and she opened the door. My cousins were already inside and asked my brother if she was still there, and my brother said yes and that she was mad. She started to yell for her to get out, and then she asked my brother if she was still here, and he said no. My brother is now 19 and says he still sometimes sees him in his mirror. I've had many experiences, but I'll tell you one that freaked me out because I wasn't the only witness. I was about 12 years old and I was talking with my dad in his room. My mom was in the closet with the lights off, but we could clearly see her folding clothes. Well, during me and my dad's conversation, he had asked my mom something, but to no reply. He eventually got to the point where he started to yell. I got up and stepped into the closet, but then I heard my mom walk into the room and ask why he was yelling her name. I looked at her and she had a towel wrapped around her. I quickly looked back into the closet and saw nothing. Absolutely nothing. This obviously creeped me and my dad out. Whatever we saw, it wasn't my mom. Whatever it was, it had her shape and even the bun. My mom always had her hair in a bun. I would have completely thought this was my imagination if it weren't for my dad also being there and seeing it too. It happened when I was 11. I was a bit of a problem child then and had a habit of staying up at night. One night I was sitting in my room. My room is located so that if you open the door to my room, you can see a long corridor in our house directly from it. This corridor is so long that no light enters it at night. And so I'm sitting in my room and drawing something in the album. At some point, I turn to the door and see something standing in the corridor, similar in height to a child of 8 to 9 years old, and this something was on this long red bag. At first, I did not understand what I had just seen. I began to blink, rub my eyes, do everything to unsee it, but it didn't go away. And then the thought, what if it doesn't seem to you at all, flashed through my head. I had no idea what to do. I just turned to the table and tried not to think that this something was actually right outside my door. I did not hear any strange sounds, only the sound of my heartbeat. At some point, I heard steps somewhere far away in the corridor. I dared not to turn around. It turned out that my mother woke up. She came to my room and scolded me for not sleeping. I have never seen anything like it. I still don't know what it was. I recently started working for a carpentry business. I'm fresh out of high school, so I'm pretty much brand new to this type of work. One early morning, my boss had called me and told me to make my way over to one of the job sites we were at. Once I got there, he directed me on what to do, and he was on his way. I was the only one at this specific house due to us being understaffed, 6 of us. Once he left, I took off my shoes and began walking down the steps when I heard what I sounded like panting in the basement. I figured the family just had a pet somewhere down here, so I continued walking down the stairs. I got into the room that was unfinished and had all of our equipment and began cleaning buckets for mud when I heard a bark, but not just an ordinary bark. It sounded like a grown man imitating a bark, so I instantly assumed it was my boss who forgot something and was trying to scare me. I dropped my stuff and walked to the door and yelled his name to see if he was here. No reply. I was kind of getting a little creeped out, so I decided to leave the room I was in to make my way upstairs. But before I could, I heard that barking noise again coming from somewhere down in the basement. I went and checked one of the rooms down there, and when I seen the source of the noise, I got so scared. The way the eyes looked made me feel so uneasy. It was so uncanny the way the dog looked. It was a very large dog, almost like a grown man was hiding inside of a dog's skin. My eyes started to water up and I had chills everywhere. My blood still runs cold thinking about it. I have a lot of scary stories to tell that have happened to me and my family, but for now I can tell you one that has been on my mind since it happened, that happened to my aunt. For a little context, my Aunt Kim, not her actual name, claims she has a hex. My Aunt Kim, her youngest daughter Lily, not her actual name either, were home alone and sleeping in their rooms. My aunt's room is at the end of a hallway. She woke up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water. She made it halfway through the living room when she looked up and saw a pale lady with a blue dress and distorted face standing in the doorway to the kitchen, pointing at her. My aunt blacked out, and when she tuned back in, or woke up, she was sitting in her car in the middle of the train tracks. When she realized where she was and looked at the time, it was 3 a.m. She called her friend in tears. Her friend managed to calm her down and asked where Lily was, and asked if she was with her in the car. Lily wasn't in the car. She was in the house alone. When my aunt went back to the house, she realized she left the front door open. She went into the house and saw Lily on the couch. Apparently, Lily woke up and tried to get her attention as she was leaving the house, but my aunt didn't acknowledge her. They got their things and spent the rest of the week at my other aunt's house. Me and my cousin were walking at a park one late night in Mexico, and a white little dog kept following us, but this dog looked a little weird and its back was all humped. But anyway, when we were walking to our house, the dog just kept following us, and every time we turned around, it gave us this creepy stare. By the time we got home, we looked back and the dog wasn't there, so we just never thought of it as weird. Until, when we turned on the TV, we had a little window in our roof so we could see the sky, and when we looked up, the dog was just staring at us and started scratching at the window really aggressively, so my cousin went to go get his bat as I stood there watching him scratch at the window. He looked a bit off and edgy, as if someone was in his skin, but by the time my cousin got back, he was just staring. So we went up there. It was only a ladder, so there is no way he got up there. He wasn't there, except a smell like a dead body. Later, some dog that looked like the same dog from last night was found dead with its stomach cut open. Thank God we moved.